Hello, Seiiti Arata. Ideology can cause problems when we already have reached a conclusion without even looking at the evidence. Our brain is subject to various cognitive mistakes. For those who are interested in going deeply into the study of the mistakes that the brain makes, here there is a very interesting book on this link. Ideology interferes with our good thinking skills when it is presented as a fixed set of ideas, assumptions, rules, an untouchable worldview. Be careful when ideology is placed on a pedestal and it cannot be questioned. When ideology is placed on a pedestal and cannot be questioned, we lie to ourselves and we also lie to others, either deliberately or unconsciously, implicitly. In this case, the quality of our thought and information begins to deteriorate because of ideology. We no longer act as rational and critical thinkers. We become blind supporters. We repeat the ideology like parrots. This is a very delicate subject and it generates a lot of emotions. It is easy to think that the others are always wrong. Even the most radical defenders of any ideology may be nodding right now, agreeing and saying, yeah, those people, they have to be more critical and use their rationality. This is the most frightening aspect of ideology. We believe that we are in charge even in situations when our thought is dictated by ideology. You've probably seen this in social networks, when there is a flaming exchange of accusations taking place between people with opposing views about politics maybe. Both sides strongly believe they have reason on their side and cannot accept anything from the other. Ideology can be a trap when we cannot accept evidence to the contrary. This is the point when ideology is destructive, when no proof to the contrary can change my position on a particular subject, or when change happens, it is only to deal with cognitive dissonance. Psychologist Leon Festinger describes cognitive dissonance when two or more of our beliefs come into conflict, and this creates a conflict in our ego. We can become stressed, we can become anxious, and then to find relief, we move one of the beliefs and then we can live as if nothing has ever happened. No more dissonance. The example that Leon Festinger uses is the smoker who continues to smoke despite knowing it's bad for his health. To deal with the discomfort, the smoker can also think that he's getting so much pleasure from the cigarette that is worth the risk. Or he can rationalize that the chances of actually having any health problems are quite small. He may even tell himself that, come on, nobody can live a life with zero risk. Maybe he can even be creative and imagine that if he stops smoking, he will end up gaining weight, which could also be dangerous for his health, so at the end of the day it makes no difference. For all these reasons, we can always seek to increase our level of enlightenment and self-knowledge and thus make informed choices avoiding the pitfalls of self-deception. Ideology begins to be destructive when it leads us to reject the knowledge that conflicts with our desired truth. And what is the difference between a destructive ideology and simple irrationality? Well, when we face a logical explanation that demonstrates our irrationality, we can recognize our mistake and we can change positions. But in the case of the destructive ideology, the attitude tends to be, I don't know, I don't want to know, and I hate people who know. This is an emotional decision to remain unchanged and without maturing and growing. This fixed position is very dangerous because it is the cornerstone of extremism and radicalism. It makes communication and understanding difficult, if not impossible. Finally, it is always worth remembering that to find that others are always wrong is an illusion. We must always have the humility to remember that any of us can be affected by ideology and by different biases of cognition. This is the first step to avoid falling into brain errors.